If you could start up with a little siren, because like I said, nobody does it when you're there. And when you pick it up, it does the. I know better than the rest of the others, but they think they're first. It's not a little. If there's nothing in there, they are. No, you said money. He was signing on of lunch job. Thank you.
I was saying hello to you earlier. How are you? Good.
Okay, all you people who didn't want to come down to Waco to the meeting are missing out.
Where are you?
City of Whitney.
Judge Belton, RSC. And you know, it's looking for the ambulance.
Oh,
Yeah. Well, my shoulder. Yes. Oh my God. Oh, it's I do. Okay. And it's fresh. Oh. I've done the actually potato salad. A lot. All right, here we go. All right. I'm Stephanie Roberts from Morrison. This meeting today is for y'all to meet them. We've seen the fact that we talked about the thing we chose to do our 5-year plan update. So they're going to go through their presentation, introduce themselves, and if you have questions, please do not be afraid to ask questions. Kathy, Stephanie, I'll turn it over to you guys.
All right, thank you very much. Can you turn on sharing so that I can share my presentation?
come on, Andy. Thank you for
All right. Can everybody see the presentation?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Well, good afternoon. My name is Kathy Chambers. I'm the project manager for Warren Associates for the 2026 update of the Regional Public Transportation Coordination Plan. We are just getting started on this project, but we wanted to take this opportunity to introduce our firm and project team and give you an overview of what to expect across the next 14 months. So we've not had the privilege of working with lots of firms in this project, so we're really excited to be doing so now. Our firm was established in 1991. and our sole focus is public transportation and mobility. We've been preparing regional public transportation coordination plans in Texas since 2006, as well as in other states such as Alaska, California, and North Carolina. We always try to focus on practical and sustainable solutions to address transportation needs and service gaps identified through the coordination plan process. As I mentioned earlier, I'm the project manager. Joining me on the project are Jim Moore and Stephanie Roberts. Stephanie is with us today. She'll be heading up on the stakeholder and community engagement aspect of this. So a brief overview of the purpose of the project. This is an update of the 2022 HOTCOG coordinated plan. During this update, we'll be looking to identify transportation needs, service staff, and available resources, and we'll then utilize coordination strategies to address those needs and gaps. In February this year, TxDOT released a coordination plan guidebook, which codifies many of the elements that were in prior plans, but it provides greater structure and more specific guidance. So the activities included in this project will be reflective of that TxDOT guidance. As prior years, this plan will primarily focus on the needs of traditionally transportation population. These are generally folks who rely on someone else to meet some or all of their mobility needs. This includes seniors, persons with disabilities, low-income individuals, zero or sometimes single-car households, youth, persons with limited English proficiency, veterans, workforce agency clients, as well as persons seeking employment. The plan itself consists of three main components. The first is public engagement, which includes outreach to stakeholders who represent the target population, agencies that provide transportation, and individual members of the target population. Public engagement activities will include a bilingual project webpage, surveys of stakeholders, transportation providers, and the community at large, focus groups with members of the target population, potential one-on-one interviews or small group roundtables with stakeholders and transportation providers. All of these activities will be laid out in a public engagement plan, which will be one of the first activities to be undertaken. The second component is an evaluation of existing conditions. This is where we look at demographics, the geographic area in which the project is located, and transportation services operating within that area. By combining the existing conditions analysis with input from the public engagement component, we then prepare an analysis of transportation needs and service gaps. The final component is where we develop goals, provide coordination strategies to address the needs and gaps, and prioritize projects arising from. So the RCC has several prime roles as detailed in the coordination plan guidebook. These include ensuring compliance with TxDOT and FTA requirements, providing a record of the planning process, providing information to TxDOT and the public, pointing to contact person, and amending the plan as appropriate. The RCC also has defined responsibilities, some of which were completed when the group was formed. The responsibilities applicable to this plan include participating in the planning process, assisting with surveys and other data gathering tasks, identifying collaborative opportunities, engaging with stakeholders, and ultimately adopting and amending. So the timeline for this project is stipulated in TxDOT Coordination Plan Guidebook. And this is one thing that is different from prior years because everybody in the state is on the same schedule. So our stakeholder engagement is set to kick off in August, and that will include outreach to stakeholders in the form of surveys and possible follow-up interviews or roundtables. We'll reach out to the transportation providers at about the same time as well. Community engagement will largely take place during the same period, so we're working with the community survey earlier than that so that HOTCOG can have it available during its back-to-school outreach. While we'll be providing updates during regular RCC meetings, there are two workshops where we'll get a little bit more in depth. The first workshop will take place in about December 2025. At that workshop, we'll be reviewing the existing conditions, including developing a methodology for prioritizing the project. So there's a new step in this process, and that's the interim plan. Now, this is a plan document which consists of the public engagement and existing condition components. And it must be submitted to TxDOT by February 27, 2026. So they'll take about a month to review it, and once we receive their input, then we'll begin developing coordination goals and strategies based on the issues identified in the interim plan. So these goals and strategies will be brought to the RCC during workshop number 2, about June 2026. And that's when this group will have the opportunity to review the proposed goals and strategies and prioritize the projects using the methodology that's already been done. The draft final plan will go out for public review in August 2026, and then will be presented to the RCP for adoption in September 2026. All right, so that's kind of who we are and what we're doing in a nutshell. Thank you for the opportunity to introduce you to our firm and the projects that we're undertaking. And so we'll be happy to answer any questions you have.
Y'all have, like, where do you think you're gonna put the public information stuff?
Well, one of the things we're doing is we're putting together a bilingual project webpage. So it's kind of a standalone URL where we can use in any promotional information. It can be on HOTCOG website and any information they distribute. That will give people information about the plan and also give them a link to the community service. So we're going to use the community. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Good. I would say, historically speaking, we suck at getting public information. I mean, on the most part. And the reason I say that rule-wise, if we're on Facebook, Twitter, and I go, for my county, it's probably Facebook. If you want to find out what people want, because they don't have any problems giving their opinions, but Facebook, potentially Instagram, something where, you know, you can get it out, because as I have found, nobody, the majority of people, if it doesn't say food, they're not hitting that QR code. I mean, and I go, we could put it in the buses, but I go, on the most part, to find the need, you're going to need people, you know, from, why don't you use the blue bus? Well, it's too inconvenient. But yet you don't have a car, but it's too inconvenient. I mean, so that way you can find, I mean, and we pick them up at the front door, but yet somehow it's still inconvenient. And so I'm just using rule-wise, which that's us. It may be a better, you know, because I just go Marlin current news and events. Oh, you'll get, and they can go on the Facebook and pop something, or click it and it takes you to, it'll take you to the questionnaire. You know, and I always go, if it's more than about 5 minutes, you've lost their attention. So it's got to be a real quick click, 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 done. If not, because I've been where, sure, I'll give you my opinion. Then it's like 20 pages long, and I'm like, I'm not that. And I'll go back to Facebook. So that would be my 2 cents.
No, that's all good information. And so I mentioned one of the first things we're going to be doing is putting together this public engagement plan. And that's where we kind of spelled out all of the resources we're going to be using to communicate information about this plan. So the bilingual website is one thing, but we're also going to be looking to members of the RCP and other stakeholders to help us get the word out, whether it's through notifications to an organization's members, if it's, you know, a social service organization, it might be to their clients. It might be on a county or city Facebook page or other social media. We'll provide images and content and links that you guys can post. So there's going to be a lot of different resources, and we definitely do want to hear from you because you know what works in your own community.
How many did you all budget or plan to have in on-site activities where you go to maybe some of the community events that may be occurring during that time. I recognize that you're still trying to formulate your public engagement plan, but is that something that's going to be considered if we know of something happening? We might be able to engage the public that may be providing services instead of just all being remote. Is there any in-person activity plan for that part of your plan to
In some ways, we do want to leverage any activities that HOTCOG is already going to have somebody at that they're going to be attending. That's why we're trying to get this community survey available quickly so that they can take it out with them. There's not a big push in the TechStop guidebook for just general community involvement. We like to include that because it's going to catch people from those focus populations, the target population. Now, with those people, we're going to be having some in-person focus groups, and we're going to do a couple of focus groups per county in person. So we will be spending some time on site. It's not going to be, extensive on-site community event outreach. Unfortunately, the budget just doesn't support that. But we are going to be on site for part of the time, and we'll offer some virtual options as well as part of the focus.
okay, so the role of it's just most ideal way to engage them. So having some in-person activity, but I think a focus group is an excellent way to move forward. I just wanted to make sure there was some in-person activity occurring. So thank you.
That's also why we're going to be reaching out to the stakeholders that we're involving in this process, because they have more reach than we do. And when you have an organization that is open to the community that a lot of people already know, that's going to be a more trusted voice than this consultant that's coming in from out of town trying things. So we're really hopeful that we'll get some good stakeholder participation from this, and they can really extend our reach into the community.
So that'll be part. We met every in a couple weeks ago, and that was one of the things I talked about. We're going to give them everybody's first formal, everybody's email address, who they are, and what the state are, but also to them, we committed to them that we will be there at this. I know you sent people out, I sent people out.
They talk about, they do have some in-person focus groups. They plan to be you engaged in. It's just scary. Thank you for
Y'all probably already put it in there, but AAA would be a good resource, especially when you're talking about the.
And John is on, John Workins is on, he's absolutely on board. We just have something up there to think it's better.
No, I just, because when you're talking, Veterans One Stop would be another one. You're hitting the veterans. And I go, so, and that's the VA part. And I just sit there and go, because half my county will go to Temple and half my county will go to Waco. And so, but it's just one of those, I'm just thinking, because when you hit Freestone County, most of Freestone will go to Nacogdoches. But what's the course camp? And I go, because we're a little spread, there's a few nuances of that. So.
Right, and that's the question the community survey we're putting out are going to be to find out are people traveling within this service area of the HOTCOG area, or are they looking to go get medical care or other services outside of that area? Because one thing Texas doesn't always do a very good job of is crossing over the arbitrary jurisdiction of that's absolutely
Right. That's why this Temple and Corsicana that it realized because you go, it's an hour plus potentially for Freestone to come here, or 30 minutes to Course County, or whatever it is.
Yeah, so where are people gonna want to go?
Right. And especially, I like Boston, same way.
I got a two,
Where?
I got a two-part question.
Oh, no, only one part of it.
Okay, I'll give the second part to Dylan. I think the question I wanted, and you mentioned this in your presentation, but it was a little bit before that you were talking about the phase that hit February 2026. You said we're something in reaching out to transportation providers. What does transportation providers stand for? What is that?
So that is anybody provides a transportation service. I mean, it's going to be the obvious ones like Waco Transit, HOTRTV, the Senate Rural Transit, those are the big ones. But also if we're also looking for if there are any like, social service agencies that provide transportation, even if it's just client-based transportation. We're looking to see what providers there are in the area, not just the big public transit operators.
Like the job, you see a lot of the safe ride, the ones from Blackwood.
Right.
That's, they will reach all, they've got to be set together by mom and pop, private.
That'd be considered a transportation provider.
And
And then the other question, I was curious, when you guys set up the online community survey or some of those digital documents or digital pieces for folks to kind of view, get responses, if you have someone in your IT team internally, that's great, or if you RFP it out. One thing we want to check, especially on the accessibility side, we might as well work with disabilities a lot. If you could make sure that they could look at it in terms of WCAG 2.0 or newer standards, they can turn it WCAG 2.2, because that's the accessibility blueprint for the kind of the website accessibility, matchability guidelines. That way we can, and I'd say that because sometimes I see things where some maybe it's carved out and it's coded by this contractor, coded by that contractor. It doesn't always have those WCAG pieces in place. So it affects somebody that maybe like maybe a screen reader, you have a potential blind resident in the area trying to complete it, and it skips some of the questions, or maybe the color coding doesn't have a lot of contrast and the colors are going to that.
Well, TechStop's actually a step ahead of you on that, because one of the things they did in the TechStop coordination plan guidebook were accessibility guidelines for web-based information. So all of that is a requirement under TechStop. So that is definitely something we're going to be looking at in terms of both the website and the survey.
Good. I'll get my question.
May I just, since my name is Danny and I'm from Veterans Affairs, I serve veterans out of our Doris and as you may know, our main hospital for our veterans is Temple. We have an outpatient clinic in Austin, that is an outpatient clinic only. And then here in Waco, we have our mental health outpatient clinics, residential clinics, things like that. And our veterans are coming from 39 to 40 counties within our catchment area. So they're coming from just very all over the place. Right. They're often, to your question earlier, trying to get to Temple for appointments that they cannot leave in an outpatient clinic, or medical appointments that Doris Miller does. I just would love to underscore for you that for our veteran population, we are on the right track when you're asking where are they starting and where are they trying to get? Because when you're a social worker for VA and you're trying to get an Austin veteran to Temple, you are right. The available options do not cross county lines. Last week, we had a veteran originating in a rural county to our west. We would have needed 4 legs of travel to get to the Austin clinic. And we do try to offset that with care for community options and things like that. If the veteran has to travel more than 50 miles, we will offer care in the community to that veteran. Sadly, those resources may not exist in that community, or the veteran may prefer to be served at VA. So I just would love to underscore on behalf of our veterans that you are thinking in such a beautiful way when you're asking that question.
Well, thank you for that. I appreciate that. That means so much.
Yeah, you'll get some of those feedbacks and it's taken with Dana in our role that workforce gets to location rehabilitation where a lot of our customers, if they need a low vision optical examination, you have to go to Georgetown, Austin, and Dallas, Arlington are those closest locations. So they're going out of the area. Then they may rely on the transportation on the start point here, or maybe some of our medical providers that work with Medicaid or certain sources, we may support the medical treatment. They may be down to Bryan, but then that's going to cross out of our zone as well. But you'll see some of those survey responses where it's kind of that nature because they're not, like in some type of dispute with a medically approved licensed doctor who can do a surgery. They just need to go to this other location because that's where they can get their surgery approved. So they're having to go out of the coverage area, eye exams for specialty types of restoration still are out of our area as well. And then a lot of things, even appointments, a lot of the retinal specialists or specialists aren't really in Waco, so they're having to go just crossing one county takes us out of the conflict.
Right, and that's one of the reasons why we want to talk to the stakeholders as well, because the stakeholders kind of bring in the big picture. You see what trends are as far as, people tend to do this or maybe here or there. Whereas an individual may just be, I need to go from this point to this point. And so the stakeholders give us a lot of very critical information about where do people need to go and what resources do they need to get there. And so that really gives us a lot of insight of what's happening now and what's available now for those gaps.
Hi, Amy Teal. I'm in Whitney. Shout out to our Hill County judge. So I was volunteering in our food bank yesterday, and the discussion of Blue Transit came up because there was a nice big newspaper clipping they had cut out. But there did seem to be some confusion about whether the Blue Transit would transport veterans to the VA in Waco from Whitney, just because they're looking at dark blue and then they see the light blue and they're thinking, I can't get where I need to go. So, I mean, the gentleman up there was right. A lot of people just aren't reading everything available. And I know it's clear on the website when I went to go check, what the dark blue and the light blue stood for. But as far as stakeholders to reach out to, I would really encourage some detailed information to your ministerial alliances and your food banks and all those churches that people are going to for a range of help, as well as all the county agencies.
Right. And our philosophy on stakeholder outreach is more is better. And so we like to look at, not just obvious things, social service organizations, veterans organizations, things like that. But, the churches, the faith-based organizations, community-based organizations that may serve certain populations. We're really just looking for as broad representation as we can. Because especially in some of these really small communities, the faith-based organizations are the ones that do this. They primarily support, a lot of the, like you said, food pantry or loading closets or school supply distribution. A lot of that is the faith-based community or faith-based organizations, churches, they're responsible for doing that. So those are the people that we want to talk to in some of the smaller communities.
I have a question regarding the community survey. Specifically, event, school events. Like, get started. The first school district starting on 8 back in school event for start. We have that. So.
Right, so I was actually working on the community survey this morning. We put a lot of it together earlier in the week, and I should have it ready for HOTCOG to review shortly, within the next Monday at the latest. And once we do that, once we get the document approved, all the questions approved, then we'll get it put onto the online version, and we can get the URL out there for people to start making the survey.
Kathy, can you also, when you send it to us, the interview, we'll get the print, so we'll put down to everybody, and you send it out.
Yes, there will also be a print version that's available for anybody who wants to be able to hand out physical copy. Anybody who does that will be responsible for getting them back and scanning them over to us. But yeah, we'll absolutely provide a print version.
Thank you. Candy, on this coming up on that survey, but you have this on the digital reference, because a lot of the school districts, there's a good population base that's Spanish speaking, will it be in Spanish? Well,
Yes, it will be in Spanish, both in the print version and the online.
on the surveys, Kathy, I think on this piece, maybe on the stakeholder section, we catch it. You have some right deal, use it for medical appointments, maybe Judge Jelly, they gotta get food, they're gonna get to the grocery store, food need, food bank. Also for work, space, I work in the workforce side. Is there something in the survey question you got in the building, like you use it for transportation for part-time, full-time employment, or work safe, throwing out an example. Or when do you see you need to use transportation? Do you need to, is it morning time, please, any comments? Like, I think we have some people in our area, I'm referencing that, where, big people may catch our transportation right when it starts, maybe 6:37 in the morning, because they got to get to their workplace at 1 or 2 counties away. And then they finish toward the end of the schedule that transportation can run, just because of how their work schedule is. There's some shoot do part-time because they're staying on program so they can keep better, I guess, and so.
Right. So what we've done so far is we asked people about the trips that they're having trouble making. And so for those trips, we asked, what kind of trips are they, and when and where are they looking to travel? And so right now we're in the process of refining kind of the wording to make sure that it really comes across to capture the information we're trying to capture. But yeah, that is something we're looking at trip purpose. We're looking at when and where, and hopefully a lot of people will give us some of their information. If we need to follow up with them, we can.
Now, as soon as we get, simply this my inbox. We'll send out a blanket for everybody to look at. You could look for those questions, and if you see something on there that's not on there, you want on it, just turn it around so we can get back to them, get them answered to make sure that what we feel is relevant is on. Okay.
No more two-part questions?
Kathy, would you like to introduce yourself? I know Kathy, Kathy's running the brush out of this thing. Okay.
Everyone, my name is Stephanie Roberts. I am the Market Research Manager for Moore Associates. I've been in this role for over 14 years. I'm really looking forward to being an active participant in this project and engaging with all of you again. Kathy and I work very closely together on every aspect of this project. The experience with the outreach to both the community and to individual stakeholders. Both of us will be available by phone, by Zoom, by email, whatever it is you may need. If you come up with a question or something that we've missed, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. This is really going to be and active participation between us and all of you. So thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. Okay, y'all, we're good here. There's no more questions, so I think.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
thank you for the conversation today, the opportunity to introduce ourselves, we appreciate it. And we'll be getting back to you soon with some of these, with the survey and hopefully some of the other pieces. That
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
So, yeah, as soon as you can get it out to us, I mean, the good thing is, I guarantee you, the survey that we made for our piece when we were doing some stuff, they'll take a lot of those questions.
They will take the word that you know that taking some of that, but this will be a lot different than that.
Yeah,
So,
more in depth.
yes, more in depth. So, and this well, Chad, this group was a good one. The group degraded the Wayne to look at it. I feel like they figured out once Serena and I talked about it. Years ago, it was about moving more one way than 17 hours, leaving or slashing hours to leave the other way. And now this is going to be right down the middle. So we'll get it all. UTA in the rural areas, NPO, get involved also. So that will have all the points.
So you appear to have a very clear, clean framework, which is good. Beginning with landscape analysis, engaging with stakeholders, all the right pieces to their framework are in there, right down to the actual penny. So I like the way they conceptualize their work, and I like the way they.
I know I'm people that so yeah, fix out the next stuff together. I thought it fire. That's like it said I did this, but I was actually excited about this thing going through. What opportunities will be.
Yeah, they put the word accessibility into their work, on the front end. Sometimes we're having to knock on the door and do word of the day.
Next up, something. Steve Ryder was doing it. That was had all the stuff we wanted done, but there wasn't a whole lot of explanation. In our opinion, that and kind of voted on that. This time, I had to finally sit down and put a book together that said, "This is what we wanted to see," and I think that's what we've asked for all along. Is what do you want? Stop making us guess. What to put in it? What do you want? And the text got finally gave us the framework. Put in RFPs and present them and say, "Here, this is what I want, right? Next time, what's this? This is what this is for. How we want to work." So it should be a much smoother and a much better process.
And is this where all of the COG can participate in this when this came out? Because we told her it's a good thing she's going to see probably some of the feedback findings, I think, where we do a great job of this on the outreach and commitment to service. But sometimes, Danny ran into this with us. I've got that with the customer. They've had to get a doctor appointment in Northwest Austin. We get them maybe to Georgetown, and it's maybe the rural capital or capital area, maybe it's part capital area.
Yes.
There's something that's like, I get a call from the customer, well, I'm here, but then they said they can't get here. I'm like, where are you at? Well, I'm south of Jordan. I'm like, oh no. Then
They get the county.
they're like, and they're like, I said they could see it in the distance, and this person's blind. They couldn't see it. So they were like stuck.
Tommy Austin in Belton, they marched the cards. We walked through this, Jeff was, I think, talking about, I don't know if I should say his name or not, but yes, absolutely. Trying to figure out how to get him from here to there.
Right.
Because Greyhound, you got to go all the way to South Austin and then turn around and ride back to get dropped off at the round off or wherever the doctor's office. But that was just trying to get it laid out. Now, where can we meet the county?
And they can provide service on certain days, I guess.
That's pretty stuff.
Like 3:00, we can get sportful at by 3:30 and so, but all these, but my hope is like, but recognize just clear down the everything activity. And so I really hope that we all can try to figure out some actual tactics in order to get past that obstacles that's being created for the users of our service. You know, I realize there's a financial, it's financial in some instances, that we can like actually work through that, talk more about cost allocation, talk about, get our judges to kind of understand that we can do this by better service and make there's some equal distribution of that cost and both sharing for both. We're all trying to make sure that our constituents get where they go with public transit. And I really feel like we're trying our best to really work together more, even in Austin area, talk to Dave. And so ultimately, whatever our plan is being, I hope that we can talk with Dave and Tony and all the rest of them so that we can create an interconnected line between where we're at here and taking our people all the way up to Ferguson County. Because it is a problem.
Yeah, but yeah, and it's in that, we can't necessarily choose where the specialist is, right? If it's one of around that fits where they're going, or maybe a certain service, you're in that, Daniel. Like we get sometimes those cases we share. The domicile, there's not a domiciliary in VA, like domiciliary. You get, yeah. But yeah, you can't but a man at the main, right? Yeah, where at least all of ours had to go to Temple.
They do,
So
yeah, that was
so-
a decision.
Right.
For whatever reason, the benefits.
What try to figure out steps to take to here. So when you all talk about those things, we can all work together. And not put people out for something.
And the website and the piece of connectability is we send our customers to the website, and then they call the number, the steps to do the ride schedule. That piece works great. We're telling our customers that don't say, well, I can't dot. This, no, you can't. Here's how you do it. Go to this side. Here's the number. Get yourself scheduled. And this is your independence. This is what you need to do. Just like your neighbor turns the key on the phone. Let's go.
But we were trying to help, last week was originating in Concho County. And like in the eastern part of Concho County, so close-ish, like 45 minutes from Brownfield. Could she take Concho Valley has rural transit? Could she take the rural transit to the county line? How would she get to Brownwood? Could she get to Brownwood early enough for the DAV shuttle? The Disabled American Veterans shuttle, which has to leave at a set time. You have to be on the manifest. You have to know how to tell the VA scheduler to put you on that manifest. Your appointment has to be done by 2:30 because it's volunteers driving that shuttle. They got to return the keys to the Brownwood Clinic. They're not supposed to have the keys to the VAV van. So for a person that's starting in one of these rural counties, or Whitney, for a Whitney veteran who needs to get to a Temple appointment, they can take Blue Transit. They can get here to our Waco shuttle, or our Waco VA shuttle, which is different from the VAV shuttle. Don't have to be on a manifest for that. They can just kind of stop off in Building 4, say I need to ride the shuttle, get down to Temple, but that has to leave 4 set times a day. So it's very overwhelming for somebody if you have more than 2 legs of travel, because each transit authority, if you will, and the DAV who needs you to be on the manifest and know to put that with the VA scheduler. Got the Waco shuttle, it doesn't need the manifest, but you got to go in and go before and get your ride ticket. You got to know the time. It is your independence, but after you get to 2 legs of travel,
How do we make that?
and just need one single point of failure, which I have also experienced, where a veteran gets stranded at Temple at 3:30 in the afternoon because maybe his or her infusion appointment took longer than anticipated or whatever it was. But it's all those, if we can make it more simple and increase coordination, which is a dream, it may not happen this year. We can also reduce the points of failure, which is why I like that they were looking for what's going well. But they're very interested in those barriers. Love that. Yeah.
Someone said that. we're in this 5-year deal, so 45, 45, but talking about crossing on county lines. We seem to listen to them and this. My next thought is, okay, these plans are going to be put into place. Building all these regions. RNC, we got to play, we got to go. We got to we have to figure out. The next iteration of this thing, I hope takes on with this, and I may have to comment to say, okay, now I want to say something, done this, got to look, it's great. Here they are. Now take each one of the different regions and tie them together. But
There's no more cross-regional coordination.
That's great. This, that's very much, I'm pretty much sure, because we're already in the process, but you know, we've got 5 years down the road to talk about this. And Corey's really open about talking. It seems like she wants to know what to do. And we are the guy to help develop the plan in the next several weeks or something, right? And what I said. So there'll be somebody else in there, but hopefully we'll stick with the guy work and change the guy work. I think that will figure out how to now say, as part of this contract, as part of this RFP you're putting out, you know, somehow now we'll put all over the top of the around to make it possible to do that. That's one. Something else. Serena and I understand this, so heard us talk about it before. Also remember on these plans, when a stakeholder comes in and an idea, it's one of the things or projects that we want to go back. Also remember there's a cost to that. Okay? So I said, but please still come with a, hey, this needs to be taken care of, this needs to be looked at. We're also going to have to figure out how to look at it, how to pay for it, pay for it. Okay. Realities, the funding is going to be an issue, but it's not something that can get done. It's not to say it won't work out. We just have to think about it ahead of time. Have to look along.
Well, and that's how we go into, we're worried about this one guy. But yet, making sure that the one guy gets to his spot, which is one guy is important. You have to drop 10 people to serve one. Because it takes a bus, it takes a driver away from where nobody else is going. And at the same time, you got 10 guys that are going to MCC, employment, other stuff, potential that can add up. I mean, I just go, you want to serve as many people as you can. But sometimes I will go, well, you need to figure out how to, you know, get with the VA and figure out how to spend the night. Well, I don't want to. Well, get your dog to somebody and say, I'm good for a day. Pick the poop and pee up when you get home. And I go, because sometimes, because we always think inconvenience, and I'm going, oh, it's inconvenience if 5 guys don't get to their jobs.
You're right. That's the big thing. We have to figure all this out, how to be as meaningful, plus and seats as possible, and try to keep away from one guy. So, Jeff, for instance, what can we do between here and Temple to get him dropped off for the have the other drop off? Have the church can we work around the city? That's the part. We have to. She didn't have that.
Right. And I'm not dogging. I'm not. Are 1 or 2 people. I feel for them, and I want to, but it's one of those. Well, you have to make allowances for you to be able to do it the way you want to do it.
Yep.
Well, I got to be back. I'm like, well, you got to have a friend that'll come by, let them out, whatever. And I'm just saying, dog wise or whatever potential problem you have, because you have to get back.
Right. It's that we can get you there, but you have to. You're going to have to get you there, but we're going to have to just keep there and get you back.
Really best to contribute to the solution. The person is right.
Right.
And it has to pass that.
Yes, and again, I'm not dogging them. It's just, which I think it will open up some opportunity and or recognize needs. I think we'll be fine. It's just we as a group need to make sure that, we don't cut our finger off for the one and you're still going, well, crap.
And that down to forever, be there,
Yeah.
that's where our, especially their response. That, so people are either hitting on the money when it comes down to the cash ground and isolate insurance for vehicle captive. But ultimately, I think if we can work through those gaps and try to figure out really what can occur, so together beforehand, and then we at least have that outline and actionable for that individual so that they can have, options. But I think not knowing what's available outside of the transportation post is another fear. But I think there's a way. I think not work together to try to find it.
Ask the question that could be slightly tangential. Well, I mean, I think about stakeholders. I think about batching people in groups with similar needs so that we can have the maximum
Which
impact.
they do.
Yeah, which is that. And one of the batches of folks that are often going to the same place and we can pretty dependably rely on them to be using service. So we go, I think are the dialysis folks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Two big steps. Two of our dialysis have to, centers have to come to the
We
table.
gotta come to the table.
Well, they've got to the table, and Serena see this on the way to the print, so I know I brought that question up on how they have to put it in the questionnaire. A number of dialysis things, I think it's the clinics and the scheduling. We have smart customers that are on that, for example. There's a lot of them that are doing like a 4:30, a 5, a 6 a.m. clinic visit for their dialysis draw. But the dialysis work that's being done. So you may get some answers back, clinics and these, here's a dialysis customer in Coolidge that has to go to the facility and bill me. And that's great. But then the customer in Coolidge said, well, I go with my Aunt Glass. Everybody has glass. Aunt Glass is taking me, and she takes me and very tired. We leave at 4 every morning. And then these clinics, because that's why I want to do clinics, hopefully, your hours of operation like that.
Well, so that was the question I was getting out of the, I think I received a very good education on some of those. If they come to the table, and I think they can, if that batch of folks, the dialysis, if we can figure out a way to meet their need and it's got that flowing, we can kind of look to these other groups from 1 and 2, but they could come to the table for solutions like that. But okay, so my understanding is if we did a public-private partnership and we asked Fresenius, for example, to buy ride vouchers, my understanding is it's no longer $1 per ride, but $25 per ride.
Yes, total cost, it's up the price changing. But in a case like that, they have to pay the cost of the trip. If we're going to do an agreement with Mercedes, right? They have to do the agreement to be for the cost of the trip, which the cost of the trip, my average last year was $55 per night. Okay, so they can't just pay that dollar. Just pay the fare. Yeah, they have to cover the cost.
Question: could they come to the table? I don't about to show my ignorance, and I think I'm saying.
What they need to do is come with some cash. Well, but see, let's go. So like, I just use me. If I put 25 in, it turns into 50. Private, other contributions, I think do the same thing and so again, dialysis is to get rich. And they're giving us your number one signal. They don't work with they don't give the clients their, because if they know that they are riding the bus, then this is when the appointments need to be for them.
questions like that. I guess my question is, could they say, we're not paying per ticket, but we want to give Waco Transit Authority a $200,000 donation, and we want to give Transit a $200,000 donation. And we're ready to be partners. I'm hoping that doesn't sound like pay to play, but if they're giving donation, now there's a lump sum that can be matched and go toward the overall budget. It can be used, like the $1 per ride in Danny's imagination, because in Danny's imagination, unicorns and butterflies, those needs can be met, but they've got some skin in the game.
Correct.
They're now not going to play some shenanigans. Well, I don't want to say
Well, I know.
shenanigans, but those cancel the point.
Yeah, they need to understand. I look at, they need to understand the piece, and I go, because let's just use this. Those are all, one, it gets doubled for federal dollars.
Right.
The next is, now I've got extra money. So now I may be able to get a couple of more buses. I mean, you see what I'm saying? So I take out 100,000 and I get a new bus. Well, now I can dedicate a bus to the dialysis part. Well, now, I mean, I'm just using that as, I'm not saying that's, but I go, but then we can, I mean, there's, because the way the money is colored, there's certain stuff we can draw out. There's certain, I go, there's got to be some play, but I go, but when you're starting, when you're just sitting there going, I don't care. Yeah, I don't care if my clients get here. I mean, which is what they're saying right now.
So there's three things about us. Number one, money's absolute, right? And giving money some form to help out. My thing is not that. The two other things are that all my Hill County clients, you set them up on the same schedule every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. That group of people, so I can get maybe there first thing in the morning, drop off, and then pick up straight back home. And the second thing that I'm hearing is, well, my doctor doesn't have privileges at that clinic. So, I mean, it's Freestone County. I take clients from Freestone County, and I'm not sure if the clinic can hurt, but if they did, now I'm taking all of it for the camp. That makes no sense to me. If I have a clinic in town, they're all things going there. It shouldn't be. My doctor doesn't have a privilege there. Doctor doesn't have a privilege there. Those things right there are wrong. What about communities?
Yeah, it's because if not, they're enabling the pieces of the system that are not willing to show. But I'm picking dialysis not because I have anything against dialysis companies or anything like that, but because I think a strategy for us getting the most impact for the people we're trying to serve with the minimum input, maximum output is sort of my thought. Is how we batch these groups together, see if we can get some folks who will put some skin in the game. I'm not trying to, tell Fresenius how they should operate.
Absolutely.
But if we can serve a batch of folks that we know are reliably needing our service and get them settled and know, it's like put that one kid to bed because you know the other kid is going to be more high need. So you get that first kid settled. Then you tend to that next kid that's going to need more. But I guess I'm applying mommy to.
But it is. And I'm not, it is. So, I mean, I go, right now, I just go, Dallas doesn't work with us at all.
I can't say anybody in the state. Wrong. So correct. But I can't say anybody in the state that they work with.
They don't have to. Because the fact is,
Yeah,
it's a clothing stores that where they get their revenue first before we get our revenue. So they're different. And then that's just kind of like an adult activity. And they're going to get a transportation portion of the fee, but it's so small that they receive majority of that funding for services, and then there's a small part of transportation. So they basically obligate your service because your public transit, you're required to provide certain services, and you have a flat rate because it's for the general public. And so they kind of capitalize on that because they're looking at it from a financial standpoint as well. So being public transit is limited on what you charge because it's only, that amount of steps. So it's really no way really to generate these additional revenues unless they just want to do it with time donation. Because legally, they're first going to have to pay that thing. And that's the same thing more. That's about pay for it.
Are there any potential incentives?
I said, Chick-fil-A has a meeting, they're going here at 2:00, so I don't want to run out of anybody else, but 6 meeting for next month, and we go right in the same conversation.
So, you, if we're gonna,
Thank you guys.
Fine, yeah.
So, when Red was over, whatever you recall, she was over, a year ago, months ago, she and I talked. And I asked several times, get me to a coffee, get me to whatever, with as many veterans or family members.
Yeah.
And I will gladly come walk through how it works, what we do with it, what the different colors mean. It's, so if you can,
I love absolutely. When is a good time for you?
I am,
Evening, day?
I'll do either way. The only thing right now that I cannot do is August 23rd through the 31st. Because I will be on the terms of my loving wife on our wedding anniversary. And unless something else pops up, otherwise, just give me the heads up. I'll put it in. I will gladly come on.
I think it's makes sense.
Our librarian, he's done a lot of presentations there. It's a good facility, and even.
I know she had something stuff, and I had a family thing, and I could not.
I would say, yeah.
But yes, that stands for me, that veterans themselves, I'm sorry. And if it's, if it's,
Had this conversation amongst ourselves, campaign, but a lot of the verbiage we use for this ads is pretty slim on verbiage. But you want to make sure that the folks who are talking to people in your local have tons of information because they'll read it all.
So, sir, thank you. Have a good background.
So yeah, and that would be great.
Yes,
So
but
thank you.
I'll push it that way and just let me know.
Fantastic.
Okay, guys, so we'll see about getting a more thorough presentation explanation of how the rural transit stuff works, scheduled, and I'll talk to Christy at the library and some other folks. So if you guys have any ideas on who would like to host a presentation, we can stream it so that anybody who can't make it can check it out too. So, all right, thanks.